Hello, I wanted to do just a quick little video on things that we've been working on with Mr. Murphy this week. He's not interested at all in this conversation, obviously. The first thing is luring. So basically what I want is a hand filled with treats, and I want to use my hand, having his mouth follow my hand to kind of lure him into different positions, and that's how I'm gonna shape the behaviors that I want. So I just wanted to kind of start with that. The biggest focus for this week, other than the barking and him going into a crate, has been establishing a solid understanding of a marker system. So I want, before I actually start working on commands and things like that, I want to make sure that he knows what each different marker means, and that's going to help me productively shape the wanted behaviors. So what a marker is, it is a sound or a cue that marks a moment in time that I like something, and it's then followed by his reward. So I want him to understand that the marker means food is coming, so that way I'm marking that exact behavior instead of rewarding something that is not actually what I'm looking for. So it kind of helps with disassociation and things like that. So I want to make sure that he knows that when my hand is closed, that he's not allowed to take food, but when I open my hand, that is when he's allowed to come take treats from me. It's not 100% yet, but he's definitely catching on to it fairly quickly. So I have a couple of different markers. The first one that I've mainly been using so far has been the clicker. So when we are using these markers in the beginning, the sounds and the cues, they mean nothing to him. So we've had to kind of create that association. So every time he hears one of these sounds, it's followed with some form of reinforcement to show him this sound means that food is coming. So the clicker means I like that behavior, come get food from me. I like the clicker because of the consistency of the sound, and it's pretty easy for them to hear if there's a lot of things going on, but there's no difference in tone if you're happy with something, if you're not happy with something. So it always means the same thing. So I really use the clicker to shape behavior, new behaviors. I use it to build enthusiasm. I'm training with his meals, so he doesn't get a bowl of food in the morning and the evening. He trains all day with his meals. So it kind of helps put value on me as the handler and making him excited to work with me. But the clicker is going to announce different volumes of his food to kind of build that excitement, that like a gamble of what he could possibly get when he hears the clicker. So let's see if he, oh, I noticed that means food, good job. So I waited till my hand was there ready for him to take before I opened food. So the reason, I don't think I finished this thought, the reason that I have the closed hand is, for one, mouthiness. I don't want him chomping on my hand before I'm ready to deliver the food. But it also helps build neutrality in my hand movements, because when we start working on duration, I don't want him responding to my physical cues. I want to be able to move around without having him get out of position to follow me. So if I have a closed fist and I'm moving my hand around, he knows that he can't come get it until I open my hand. So the other two that I'm using as far as markers go is the word good and okay. And right now they sort of mean the same thing to him. Good is going to be something that I use to build duration. So we're not quite there yet. I'm doing a little bit of duration work, but he's pretty young and I want him to know what the behavior is before I start asking him to hold it for long durations of time. Okay is going to be our terminal marker. So the big difference with them right now is when I say good, I'm bringing food to him, and when I say okay, I'm moving my hand away so he can come out of behavior. So let's see if I can, you gotta get up, bud. So I'm going to lure him into a position where you can see him. Good. 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 No. And then, okay. And he's not 100% with the closed fist thing, but we'll get there. Mostly so far I've been doing a lot of movement and kind of doing the clicker to mark silence. All done. Really, the barking is demanding for, at least in this context, it's him demanding attention. So I'm either going to ignore it and I'm going to click and reward silence. I want him to know that he gets more out of being quiet than he does when he's yelling at me. I made one initial video and then I think I accidentally deleted it off my phone because I was running out of space. But I do have a video of like our second session, and obviously we've been working on it since then. All done. Good. Good. You're being crazy. So the good is going to be what I use to build duration, and okay is going to be that terminal marker. Eventually we're going to get into no and ahs. I'm not ready for that yet. And then the next video will be going over the no, kind of stopping behaviors, and leash pressure, teaching him how to respond to leash pressure and using those different forms of pressures to keep him in behavior when he kind of wants to come out of behavior. So I'll get into that next time. He's doing much better with the barking. Usually the first couple of days, the entire time we were in here, he's just yelling at me if I wasn't like feeding him constantly. The crate, he's going into it pretty regularly. I shouldn't say regularly. I'm not having to really force him to go into it. It's kind of weird. The kennel room, he has no problem going in there. He walks into his kennel and he lays down and he goes to sleep. The one in here, it's like I'm asking him to go into a bed of lava or something. But so what I'm doing is I'm just taking, let's see if I can bring it over here. Are you gonna do it for us? All right, let's see, you're in the shot. Kennel, he has to have food. Oh boy. So what I'm doing is he goes in and I'm just continuing food. And normally I'm not really talking, it's just a quiet exercise. Kennel. Good boy. I just want to build value of him being in here. I'm not closing the door, he's not forced to stay in here, he can come and go as he pleases. Kennel. Kennel. Bark, he's not gonna get anything. Kennel. Good boy. He's getting stuck in your hair. Kennel. And then when the exercise is over. Yay, good job. Woo. So yeah, not a lot of super exciting stuff, but I just want to have those fundamental things in line so that I can use them to shape behaviors as we go along. I'm not really using commands just yet. The behaviors that were, because I don't want to, again, create disassociation. I want to make sure that he's going into behavior fairly consistently before I put a name on it. The things that we're working on are his sit, which he kind of already knows. I've been using sit a little bit, down, the place, and I've started I started working on a pre-heel so he doesn't have to be in one spot, but I'm kind of getting him used to that muscle memory of being right here and not forging ahead. All of this is happening in this room, and most of next week will probably still be in this room. I want to make sure he understands everything with low distractions before I start throwing new information, before he's ready to take that in as well. So all right, that's it for this week, and we're going to keep working because I just brought you over. You say bye to your family. Come here. Bye, guys.